This could be the real deal, boys. Let's do it.
Welcome to the Reggie and Jerome podcast, the #1 Eagles podcast on the continent of Africa, specifically the country of Ghana. Shout out to our one fan in Ghana. I'm your co-host, Big D. I'm sitting here with my boy, Sammy C. What's happening, Captain?
What up, dude?
To my right, as always, my homie, Big J.A. What's happening, my man?
Yeah.
So, we're back at you again. We are going to be talking about the Eagles' second week of practice. We'll be talking about some things that happened with the Birds this week. Some decent, some not so great. We also going to talk about one of the things that I really hate, which is that damn open practice. I think that guys that in that open practice try to play too hard and want to perform for the fans, and they don't do that when they're at the complex by themselves. So as such, we had one of our birds go down. But before we get that, we got to do what we always do. We got to take our shot.
Let's do it.
Salute, my guys.
Salute.
So, as we were talking about at this open practice, one of our birds went down. We all were shook when it happened. And that would be Mr. Landon Dickerson. So, it looks like we may have dodged a bullet. It looks like it's not as bad as what we thought. Fellas, what were your first thoughts when you heard that Landon went down?
Oof. Seeing that he had to get carted off the field once he made it to the sideline, I was like, oh no, this is bad. This is so bad. But, you know, the Eagles gods were with us that day, and they looked him out with a small meniscus tear, and hopefully within the next month we see him back on the field.
Sam?
My first reaction was, oh, fuck.
At least you kept it real.
Yeah. Oh, fuck. We're starting like this in a goddamn practice. But yeah, like Joey said, I mean, thank God that it wasn't that bad and that serious. When he got carted off, the things that were running through my mind is like, who's going to take his spot? You know, and that was the biggest thing about that. But then, you know, once the news came out and he got all of his tests done and everything like that, I was like, all right, that's not that bad. Hopefully we can get him back for week 1 against Dallas. And then I seen him walking the day after his surgery in practice with a bag of beer.
Yeah, very encouraging.
Yeah.
The beer was definitely encouraging.
Oh, yeah. Just hanging out with the Browns offensive line and just drinking beer, him and Lane Johnson. I was like, all right, yeah, he's good.
I think that especially football players, for as tough as they are, no one panics like football players, especially when it comes to like leg injuries. Like that shit is so scary, man.
It is.
Like, you know, I know guys who have played with clubs on their arms, on their hands, and, you know, you can play games like that, but without those wheels, not a lot you can do. I believe that they probably panicked. They wanted to make sure nothing bad happened. Thankfully, this is something that clearly he can come back from. It doesn't mean that he's going to be 100% the rest of the season. He may not, but after week 1, most football players aren't 100%, to be honest with you. The first thing I thought about was how blessed we were last year that we didn't really have any crazy injuries.
Better knock on wood.
Yeah.
Because we ain't doing this year.
I mean, I know, but it's the truth.
No,
like,
it is.
When you see, even though I wasn't there, like when you see that banner of the Eagles medical staff saying that 21 of 22 starters played the entire season, that's incredible for a football team. It doesn't really happen very often, and that's part of the reason why they won last year. Again, I'm knocking on wood. I don't want anybody to get hurt, but it's football. People get hurt in football. My whole thing was, in an open practice, it can happen anywhere. It could have happened at the joint practice, but again, you're out there performing for 40,000 people. And to me, I just never really understood the purpose of it. When I was younger, I used to take my kids to Lehigh when they used to have practice at Lehigh. And it wasn't like that. Like they really practiced like they practiced. You know, it wasn't like, oh, run a go route. Everybody cheer when the guy scores. It wasn't like that. There would be times when I would go up there and literally all you would see was the kicker and the punter because they gave everybody else the day off. And you wouldn't know. You just was going up there because you wanted to go to Eagles practice. And guess what? They didn't give a shit if people came and all they had to do was look at the kicker and the punter. So I'm glad that that's over. Again, it can happen anywhere. You know, it can happen at the regular practices, but I'm just not a big fan of it. With that being said, it also had me thinking about if that does happen, where do we go?
Yeah.
Who's behind him that can fill those shoes? Thoughts?
Well, I was thinking the same thing, and when I looked and I was like, all right, well, who is behind him? Because God forbid this is a lot serious than what it is. They said that it's Brett Toth.
Yes.
Toth. Yeah. But they said that he's been doing well. Even, you know, when Landon Dickerson out right now, he stepped up like he was supposed to. And he's played with the Eagles for 3 years now.
I mean, I know I've seen him.
I want to say so.
Yeah.
I've seen his name for a while.
And then I think it was Kendall or something like that. I don't know. It's just another guy. He was there last year. I remember
Toth
that.
was there.
Yeah. So I was like, all right, well, I guess we're going to see. And I mean, I guess we'll find out in the next preseason game too. I mean, you're going to see how well somebody plays in the positions, and, you know, they're going to be fighting for a spot. That's just how it is.
Yeah. I mean, football, next man up mentality. Whoever's behind, you got to go and play. They're not going to, I sincerely doubt that they're going to panic and, you know, pick up a guy or anything like that. You know what I mean? That's just not, it would have to be something major for them to do that. Like, you know, I just don't think they're going to do that. So if it's Toth and he has to start the season, you got to do what you got to do, my man. You know what I mean? That's part of the game. With that being said, they did practice the Browns in joint practice this week. By all accounts, it was a bit of a mixed bag. I thought that the defense was going to be ahead of the offense only because they're learning a new playbook, so to speak. I believe it's a little bit of a blend on the playbook from last year. I wanted to get you guys' thoughts on what did you think about some of the things that you heard coming out of the joint practices, if you've heard anything.
We should have kept either Darius Slay or Isaiah Rodgers.
That's succinct.
Listen, you know, I got a ton of faith in the guys that we do have, but it does seem like there's some uphill sledding for Mr. Keely Ringo, and you know, I wish him the best, and I hope he turns it around and is our, you know, game one starter and shows out and balls out for us. But you know, you see all the reports from ESP or the other guys that are at practice, and it seems like he is the number one target that is just not having a great camp.
Yeah. Sammy?
Well, we have a few guys, Ringo, Dory Jackson. We were talking about them in the last podcast. There's a lot that they have to work on. But then you also have other wide receivers in there that are trying to fight for a spot also. You got offensive linemen, you got defense. You got the rookies trying to figure out, you know, the playbooks also. And that's a big thing for me is like, all right, listen, you're coming in as a rookie, but you need to figure out this playbook because if it's your time, God forbid Nakobe Dean goes down again. Campbell, listen, you may be the next one in line. You may jump Trotter if you show out and, you know, you learn the playbook a lot faster than Trotter does.
And not to cut you off, but that's huge. I'm glad you brought that up because, you know, a lot of times at that level, skill is very even. Some guys just get the chance because they learn what to do quicker than other guys. So you're absolutely right. You continue.
Yeah, it's just the linebacker position in general is just a hard position to play, right? You can go up to Jalen Carter and be right next to him, Ty Robinson. He can learn so much just from watching Jalen Carter do his thing. Even Jordan Davis now, they're saying that he's been great at camp.
Right.
He's moving. I think Nolan Smith said something about him on how they were doing these drills and everything, and Jordan Davis just keeps going. And Nolan Smith looked at him and he's like, God damn, you're not fucking tired yet? Like, I got to step the fuck up and keep doing. If he's showing out, I got to show out.
Yeah, man.
And the thing is the other thing is Moro Ojoma. They said he's doing great in camp right now. They said it's absolutely insane, And we lost, what was his name?
Milton
Williams, yeah. But I think we talked about it a little bit last podcast on losing guys and, like the impact that it would have on us. And I think Ojoma is going to step up and be that guy this year.
If there's one thing I'm really not worried about, if I'm being honest, coming out of camp, is our linemen. I mean, obviously, anybody who's under Jeff Stoutland at Stoutland University,
a graduate of Stoutland University,
I am not worried about. I mean, I think he might be the most well prepared and most knowledgeable coach in probably the game of football. I mean, he takes guys and puts them out there, and like a guy like Mekhi Becton, was down and out. Then a lot of people didn't think he had football left in him, and he turned him around, and now Mekhi Becton's got himself a nice contract over with the Chargers. And then our defensive linemen, man, I think they're just going to be an absolute wrecking crew. At least our interior D linemen are. I mean, you got Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, Moro Jomo, Ty Robinson. It just seems like there's going to be a revolving door of guys ready to go and get after the quarterback. And you're not rotating offensive linemen like you are defensive linemen. And
this is true.
The more you can keep them, gassed up and ready to go, the harder it is going to be for the opposing offensive line.
Yeah, offensive linemen are more like a chessboard. Like, they have to work in concert with each other. But once they get it, they really get it. I mean, that's the advantage that the Eagles always seem to have, is that they have this line that is so connected. They're so in line, no pun intended, with each other that they work so well together. Defensive line is the same thing. I'm sure you've heard forever that the game is won in the trenches, but that shit is true. Like, if you can win up front, you can win football games. It's, it's not, hyperbole. It is the truth. And I think once you get past that defensively, I think you brought it up about the linebacker core. Like, linebacker is difficult to play. Defensive linemen really only do a couple of things. They might do it well, but they only do a couple of things. I might bull rush you. There might be a stunt. Pretty much it. And I mean, get to the quarterback, tackle a running back. Yeah. Linebackers got more to do than that. And I mean, they more read and react than anybody. They're literally the quarterback on defense for the most part. Some teams use the safety for that, but for the most part, the linebacker is the quarterback on the defense. So I think we are good there. And that leads me to my next question, which is...
Before you do that,
go ahead.
One thing. With Dickerson out right now, he's left guard, right next to Mailata?
Yeah.
So, and Joey was talking about Stoutland and everything. When we made that trade for, CJ Gardner-Johnson, which I didn't want it, but then at the same time, it's like, oh, well, we got Kerryon Green or something like that, I think he was. Even though he's hurt right now, being under Stoutland, it's like, you seen what he did to Mekhi Becton. It's like, all right, well, hopefully he can turn around and make him like another Mekhi Becton. God forbid one of our guards goes down and you have this guy that you traded for ready to go, God forbid.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that the thing that really, I want to say, not scares me, but it's just that safety cornerback kind of thing in camp right now. It's like we really don't talk about offense because it's like, all right, well, I feel like
even if they're struggling, at some point they're going to get it together.
Yeah.
Too much talent there.
A lot of talent. It's just like you're trying to fit your pieces into the defense.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, I mean, defensive tackle, defensive end, even that. I mean, you got one job: get to the QB or make a tackle.
Yeah.
You got other plays, and the corners are one of the hardest positions with the linebacker. So
yeah,
like Joey was saying, Ringo. I mean, I hope he turns it around.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like we're beating him up a little bit for the past 2 weeks, but it might be well warranted because we've been so. How long was Darius here for? Like 5 years, 6 years,
something like that.
Yep.
Yeah, we got Darius for like a second round pick, and for the most part, he'd never missed games. He was always there, and
he was that captain.
Yeah, even if he had like a bad game for Darius was like the guy caught a touchdown and maybe had like 60, 70 yards. There was never any games where it was like, oh, this guy caught 12 for 125. That shit wasn't happening.
Nah.
I see that sometimes when I'm watching what I watched last week. I'm like, yeah, if Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson plays these guys for, an entire game, it might be crazy.
It might be raps.
Yeah. It might be crazy, but yeah, I agree with everything you guys said.
It's all love though. Like I think Keely Ringo does have the skills to play that CB2, but maybe he might be in his head for right now. We don't know.
That's true.
And mind games. We're all athletes. Mind games, they play a part in our everyday process.
That, and even if he can't be a CB2, right? He played really well on special teams last year also. So, I mean, it's not like you're losing a guy, like you're kicking him off the team. He has another job to do.
Oh, no, he ain't getting kicked off.
Nah,
He's going to be on the team.
No, yeah, but that's what I'm saying. He has another job to do.
Yeah.
Even if he doesn't make QB, cornerback 2.
Absolutely. Well, that being said, what are you guys looking forward to seeing in the next preseason game? Because there used to be 4, now there's only 3. Starters won't ever play. So tomorrow's preseason game will determine a lot of what the roster is going to look like. You're going to see a lot of guys that they think are going to be on the team playing the first 2 quarters of the game. That being said, what are you looking for? What do you want to see?
Really, mainly the defensive side of the ball, your safety and your cornerback group. Those are probably the highlighted areas that you want to see what you got there, because like you said, Nakobe Dean, who's still, dealing with his injury. You need a replacement for Slay. You still have a starting job up for grabs in the safety unit. You want to see what those guys are going to bring to the table. I'm really interested in especially the safeties. I like Sidney Brown. I am worried about coverage with Sidney Brown. The tackling aspect, and
I had no issues with him filling the box, Pauls. But yeah,
and coming down the hill, I'm not too worried about that. But I need to see. I need to see you drop back and in those cover 2 situations and take care of the top.
Sammy?
Pretty much to piggyback off of what Joey said, it really the cornerback positions, I think we'll see, what's that, new require, Bennett.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to see him play. Hopefully he shows out. I mean, they said that he was the Raiders' top cornerback last year, but his stats show it, you know.
I watched a lot of film on him, man. I did a little deep dive.
Did you?
Look pretty good, but go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's between him, you know, just the mix of the cornerbacks, I want to say. Like, not only him, but I still want to see more of Adoree Jackson. I want to see more of Ringo. Even Eli Ricks, God forbid. I mean, he's been with us.
I full disclosure, I forgot Eli Ricks was in the team. I was about to say, what? Who?
Yeah. But really, my biggest thing that I want to see is, like I said before, I want to see more work from the rookies. I mean, they said that we had a great draft. You know, I mean, you look at it, you had Campbell, you had Andrew Makuba. Well, I think we'll see him because they said that he suited up for practice this week, for the joint practice. Because remember, he was out last week because he had his shoulder.
I believe he had a end zone interception. At least that's what I remember reading on Twitter.
Well, that's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
So, you know,
between him,
I think he's the better of the two between him and Sidney Brown coverage wise.
Yeah.
You know, let's see. You know, this is what these games are for.
Exactly.
You got to prove your worth.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, like I told you guys, you know, in one of the previous podcasts, I watched the national champion, like the prelude to the national championship game with him in it before I even knew who he was. And to me, he standed out on the field. I was like, okay, he's got good skills. He moves well, a little slim, but other than that, he looked like a player. You know, unbeknownst to me, if 4 months later the Birds would be picking him. So, yeah, to piggyback on what you said, Sammy, I'm looking for the same thing. I hate to say this, but I don't really care about what the offense does. I have a feeling they'll figure it out, but they were dominant last year because of their defense.
I would like to see them have a couple drives. We know it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But, you know, I only want to see that happen just because shake a little bit of that rust off in real time. So that way we're out there week one just ready to smack the Cowboys in the mouth.
So let me ask you a question. Do you agree with the starters not playing?
Yes and no.
That didn't answer the question, but go ahead.
I'm going to explain. Okay. I'm going to explain.
Go ahead.
Yes, because you know, it seems to have worked in our favor. No, because again, you know, repetition and repetitiveness, I think, are huge, especially in football. You know, your 5-step drop back, stuff like that, making sure that ball's coming out when that receiver is making his break. Yeah, you do it every year, but it's still timing, and you want to get that timing in real life. You know, practice can only do but so much, to me, in my eyes.
I agree. Sammy, what do you think?
I think they should play. Even if it's a quarter, get your reps in. Get your reps in so you're not just going from a joint practice, you know, to where everybody, obviously we're not going 100%, but get that feeling of getting out there, doing what, even if it's just going through the motions of it, right? I don't want them to play too much though, because I look at teams, I mean, look at the first week. Anthony Richardson got blindsided off the edge and his pinky was turning sideways. He was making a right turn. You know, it's just, you don't want to see anybody get hurt, especially before the season. I mean, you got this week, you got next week, and then it's game time, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, yes, I want to see them play, but then no also, just because of that reason, because of injuries, honestly.
Yeah, I'm with you both. I want to see them play, but on the same token, you're playing against guys that are trying to make a name for themselves. You know, if I beat Lane Johnson and I say Jalen Hurts, guess what? I might get signed. I might not get signed, but I might make the team. So when you're doing that, the risk is not even close to the reward in my eyes. But with that being said, I just don't think you can replicate game stuff in practice.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care how many joint practices you have. Like, there's a difference in knowing that when Myles Garrett gets around Mailata, he's going to push me with two hands. And knowing that if he gets around Mailata, he's going to fucking kill me. There's a big difference. Everything changes. You move different. The quarterback moves different. The line moves different.
Your veterans, your veterans are saving their energy for weeks 1 through 17, 1 through 18, and so on. Like there was a clip with Lane Johnson and Myles Garrett went at it. It was 10 seconds. They went at it.
It wasn't even 10 seconds.
But, I'm sure that's the first and last rep they probably had for that day.
Absolutely.
And they mailed it in.
That was a quick 5 seconds. Pity pat, pity pat. All right, man. Good to see you. Have a good year. That was it. I'm sure that's all it was.
Yeah. Oh, to piggyback off of like what you said that you wanted to see in the preseason game, there's been a rumor going around of Miles Hilton, the offensive tackle that we got from, I think he was from Stanford.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was 191st pick. First pick, I should say.
Good deep dive on that because I remember that shit.
But he's pretty much the backup to Lane Johnson. That's the one that you were talking about, Joey, when we first introduced all the draft picks and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
They said that he's been playing really well. So, obviously, I don't see Lane Johnson starting tomorrow. But
but guys like that, you do want to pay attention.
Exactly. Because God forbid, like we said, somebody goes down, it's the next man up.
Yeah.
So, between him, what do you think Tanner McKee's going to do tomorrow?
I ain't worried about that guy, man.
No, I know, but he had a great first game. You think do you think he plays the same game that he played the first game?
I mean,
I understand it's preseason.
Yeah, but he's the results you see from him have seemed to have been solid throughout, from a regular season game to a preseason game. I think the kid prepares really well, and I love to see that from our second string quarterback. I think he's gonna, all last year he was practicing with Johnny Wilson and Anais Smith, and I think that really shows, it shines. It's gonna make him shine because they're so used to each other's timing, et cetera, and et cetera.
I have a prediction. If you see Tanner McKee for 3 quarters, they're shopping him. There's no need to see Tanner McKee anymore. Like, he's your backup quarterback, right? He's your guy that all else fails and Jalen Hurts goes down. You have faith in this dude. Why are you risking him getting hurt in a preseason game? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, bring Robinson in.
Yeah, if you see, I'm telling you, if you see Tanner McKee longer than 3 quarters, they're shopping him. They want people to see more of Tanner McKee. He don't have to practice no more. What the fuck you got to practice for? I'm sure he practicing against the Browns 1s and 2s already.
So how much of Tanner McKee do you want to see?
A half is cool. You go into the 3/4 spot, 3 quarters or a whole game. Yeah, they doing something with him.
You don't even think they're shopping him even if he plays a half?
Oh, I still think there's people calling.
Just because, obviously it's preseason, so we have, 4 QBs?
Yeah.
5 QBs. It's like you got other QBs that technically you could really put in there and keep Tanner McKee on the sideline.
But my point is though, that there's a difference between people calling and shopping.
Yeah.
True. If people can call all they want, and I'm sure they've gotten the calls about it, but if you showcase a guy that long in the second preseason game when you got other quarterbacks on the roster, like, I'm not even really sure. Do they keep 3 quarterbacks? I'm not really sure. Probably. They usually normally do. Put one on a practice squad, whatever the case may be. If he plays more than that, I think that they think, or they have already gotten
calls,
yeah, and offers, and say, we've gotten a 3 for this guy already. Maybe we can get some more. Let's throw him out there and see what Tanner can do.
I think the Saints are one of them. I think you could start on the Saints, hands down.
He'd be familiar with the head coach. But,
yep.
It's a good point. But also, do you think him being out there also helps them get a gauge on their wide receiver since he's so familiar with their game? Or does that really not matter who the quarterback is?
No, I completely agree. I think that's the reason why you play him a half. I think you give him as many drives in a half so that you can see what these guys on the outside can do. Because you might not get that with Dorian Thompson-Robinson. You know what I'm saying? Like you're just not going to get it because he's not getting those reps in practice.
Right.
Tanner McKee is probably getting 40% of the reps in practice because he needs to. Not because he needs to practice, but he needs to know the playbook just in case some shit happens.
Right.
You know
You got to be prepared.
It's football, So, I mean, that's my prediction. I'll be interested to see what happens tomorrow, and I hope they pull him because, quite frankly, when you're in this window, a pick doesn't really do you any good this year. Who's to say you're going to be really good next year?
Yeah.
People, NFL teams, they all love picks. They all love high picks. They love first and second rounders. Like they love them.
Well, look at Howie.
Yeah, he likes them too.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that if your Super Bowl window is now, like, what do you consider do you consider from? So when they went 2022.
Yes.
Okay, so let's just say they're a normal Super Bowl kind of caliber team. We'll leave teams like the Patriots out of it because they had like two kind of like runs when they won their Super Bowl. They had a 5-year run, kind of paused, and then they had another one. A normal team run is like what the Chiefs have done. What teams like the Broncos did, all the way back to the Dirty Cowboys. Like there's like a 6-year run you have. You make a run when you're a Super Bowl contending team. By that metric, the Eagles are in like year 4 or 5 of that, right? So it's either going to go one of two ways. You're going to keep moving up the ladder, or you're going to start moving down that ladder. I tend to believe that they're still moving up that ladder. You know what I mean? So in that case, fuck the pick. Keep Tanner McKee in case something happens to Jalen Hurts. That's just my thinking. I don't know what they think, but that's just my thinking.
Yeah, and I want to I mean, we've been talking all defense for the preseason game real quick. I want to see what Cooper does tomorrow, man.
Yeah.
See if he piggybacks off of what he did last game. With him, maybe a little bit more of Jahan Dotson. And I want to say the running backs. It's like, do we see more of A.J. Dillon tomorrow, or do we stick with Will Shipley? You know what I'm saying? I don't know.
I think that you could almost say the same thing about that spot.
Yeah.
Tomorrow's game is going to tell you everything you need to know of what they think about the guys that they have. If they play AJ Dillon in the first couple of drives and you don't see him again,
that's why.
Then they think he's Saquon's backup.
Yeah.
If you see a lot of Will Shipley, or you don't see AJ Dillon at all, it tells you all you need to know. So I agree. I want to see the offense as well. And I'm sure that those guys, they're trying to make the team. So the more balls they get thrown their way, they probably want Tanner McKee to play the entire game.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I'm glad I got you guys' thoughts on the preseason game and what we want to see. I guess we'll find out tomorrow.
You know what cracked me up over the week when, all the news and everything was going? They asked Howie Roseman. They brought it back up to him again. They were like, does it still hurt you or haunt you that you didn't take Justin Jefferson over Rager? And he's like,
somebody said it to him this week?
Yeah. And he was like, absolutely. He was like, I had a Hall of Famer right in my hands and I let him go. I was like, yeah.
What did I say last week? Good GMs know when they make a mistake and they kind of correct it.
But in the same, I've seen the same clip. He did say, if I make that pick, we might not have an AJ Brown. We might not have a Devontae Smith. Without those are the guys you won the Super Bowl with. You don't know if that happens.
Yeah, that's a sliding doors moment. Like, yeah, I get it.
Right. But
yes, and that's the thing. It's like, do you take just Justin Jefferson, or do you look at it now and you're like, oh shit, like I had a Heisman winner, I had a dog in AJ Brown. It's like, I got to stick with AJ Brown and Devontae Smith, hands down.
Yeah,
it's a better supporting cast than just one wide receiver. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But you know, like you said, a good GM recognizes his mistake and fixes it, and that's what he did.
Yep.
So, I didn't know this was on the big we're going to talk about, but I'm glad we talked about it. So, just think about it like this: we watched Minnesota play the Eagles a couple years ago, right?
Yep.
I mean, did Justin Jefferson
Slay locked him down?
Did he change the game for them?
No.
But did our two guys change the game? So I get it. I mean, because don't get me wrong. I love that dude. He's one of my favorite players to watch.
Yeah, you'd be stupid to say no. I wouldn't want Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, you'd be stupid to say that.
But, you know, it's the way it worked out is what makes it okay.
Yes, absolutely. That being said, moving on. It looks like we segued right into what I wanted to talk about, which was offense. We touched on it a little bit, but we got a new offensive coordinator. It seems like we just keep getting the new offensive coordinators every year. It clearly helped last year. I think Kellen Moore started slow, but by the end of the year, my boy was cooking.
Oh, yeah.
And
firing all cylinders.
Yeah, he was cooking.
I hated to see him go, man.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie.
Well, and I agree with you, and that's simply because I think in Jalen Hurts' last 10 years of playing football, he's had the same offensive coordinator back-to-back years.
I think I was his offensive coordinator once. I'm pretty sure I was. At least I know I wasn't mad enough.
Yeah, this is his sixth.
Just once, and really, it was back-to-back years, and the first year he was the backup.
Yeah, because it was 2021. It was Nick Sirianni with Shane Steichen, and then 2022 was Shane Steichen. So it's like I guess you can go off of that. Right. That was that one season.
He was the backup the first year. So
yeah, and then after that, it just went downhill.
Yeah,
not downhill, but it's just been
that's why
different every year.
By all accounts, I'm always like 50-50 when it comes to like bringing in guys in-house. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Clearly with Brian Johnson didn't work. But, you know, this might be different. You know, this may work. I'm hoping that it does. I'm akin to the, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You got to tweak some things. You can't run the same offense out. You got to have some variety in the play calls that you play.
Everybody was looking at what the best team in the league did last year.
Yeah.
And, you know, they're going to see what mistakes they made or how can they stop this play? How can they stop that play? You know, and to me, in some form, every team has a handful of plays where they're all the same. They're bread and butter plays, you know, but that's what you create your own playbook for, to make those tweaks to certain routes and go from there.
Yeah. 70% of the NFL runs the same plays.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kevin Patullo from Hillsborough Township, New Jersey, boy.
Whoa.
Shout out to Jersey, boy.
I've never heard of Hillsborough Township, New Jersey. I'm assuming it's nowhere near here.
I believe it's North Jersey.
North Jersey,
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So as we're going into this next topic, all right, and this offensive coordinator, it's just like, I don't know if this stat is true or not, but didn't he work with Nick Sirianni? Didn't Nick Sirianni coach in Indianapolis?
Yes.
So he worked with him then in Indianapolis before Nick Sirianni came over, and then Patullo came over. But
the reason I do like this move is because of the familiarity with the wide receivers.
Okay.
He was last year, I believe he was either an assistant to the passing game coordinator, something like that, or he was the passing game coordinator.
Let me stop you for a second. Say it again. He was a what? Assistant to the passing game coordinator.
Or he was the passing
game. He was the passing game coordinator.
I can't remember exactly what it was.
I've been around football my entire life. I don't think I've ever met a passing game coordinator. And I'm not even trying to be funny. I just would like to know what they do.
I couldn't tell you, but the passing game, you're involved with the wide receivers. So
yeah, clearly, yeah.
You have to have some understanding of what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, and you build off of that. And we're not going to know till the regular season starts. Preseason, you're rolling out a very vanilla offense. Just to make plays and see what your wide receivers have, your quarterback, et cetera, et cetera. But I do think that this is, I'm hoping that this is the right move, just because I don't think he's a big name, and I don't think people are going to be, if we have another successful year, I don't know if this is going to be a name that they're clamoring over. Like Kellen Moore was a head coach. He was with Dallas when they had a very high-powered offense. Right. And the more you're familiar with your offense, the better, especially if you have a good year.
Let me ask you, I want to ask both of you guys a question before we continue with this topic. Do you think the Eagles' offense was complicated last year?
No.
What do you think?
No.
It wasn't. But I think that was the beauty of it. I mean, I know that Saquon got a lot of the credit for what went on.
Sure, he had an amazing year.
Jalen said as much at Super Bowl.
In the same breath, that doesn't mean that he carried us. I think A.J. Brown is like the only wide receiver in the NFL to have over 1,000 yards the same season. He's had a teammate rush for over 1,000. He did it back in Tennessee with Derrick Henry and with Saquon. I mean, you're not being carried by your running back when your wide receiver has over 1,000 yards.
Sammy, I'm upset you didn't have that stat. Continue, Joey.
I got a different stat for you.
But, it just goes to show that, our team is not one-dimensional. And, Hurts said, he had something to prove last year when we didn't run the ball much, and he, put the team on his back and threw and goes to the media. Is that what y'all wanted to see?
I agree. So, Tammy?
Nah, so what Joe was talking about earlier about like what his position is, Kevin Patullo, he was right. He's a passing game coordinator and pretty much like a assistant head coach, kind of. So under Moore was Patullo last year. They ranked second in rushing yards and seventh in points scored last year. Just Moore and then Patullo helping him out. Pretty much just being right behind him, telling him, oh, yeah, I agree with that play. Let's do it.
That's a great job.
I'm also sorry to cut you off.
God damn it.
I don't care.
We'll get back to you, Sam. Don't worry.
You're good.
But I had to get this off my chest before I forget it. I don't care how much Nick Sirianni says he is not involved in the offense. He's involved in the offense. He's an offensive guy. To say he doesn't have some say or some kind of insight to what we're running on offense is just dumb. I mean, look back to the NFL films when they threw the dagger. He goes,
I was just about to say.
He said, if we score here, it's over.
Yep.
Just do it. So he very, very aware of what's going on, as he should be. I don't know how that goes for defensive-minded head coaches.
You think he made that call?
I think he had. He had some influence on it.
Yeah,
absolutely. Because the smart thing to do would be to run the ball, burn up the clock. But Super Bowl, all bets are off. Drop your nuts on the other team.
Yeah, tomorrow. So yeah, I feel you on that. Yeah, absolutely. I just wanted to find out you guys' thoughts on that, because I was thinking about it the other day. And I was watching some of their film, and it was more akin to, you kind of knew what was coming. You just really couldn't stop it anyway. It seemed like that's what their offense was. Like, other than some outside runs, blocking scheme stuff, like, there were so many times when the defense knew Saquon was getting the ball. They just couldn't really stop it, But I mean, everything worked off of that. And I think that whoever is scheming, calling the plays, they got to know that. Like, I get it. I get that it's one's team, but man, that dude in the backfield changed so much for them.
He really did.
You know, but then again, somebody mentioned it today that you know, while you can say that, they made a Super Bowl with Miles Sanders too. So, I mean, Saquon is amazing. He will be one of the best running backs ever, but it's not like, again, there's just so much talent on the offense. And
I mean, what you said, you made a Super Bowl with Miles Sanders. You also made a Super Bowl without A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith in, was it 2018, 2017, 2018? Yeah. I mean, you had Alshon Jeffrey. You had Torrey Smith. You know, you had those guys and you made a Super Bowl. Not saying that they're bad wide receivers at all, but
no.
Yeah, I mean, but that's what I'm saying is like, look at the talent that was there in 2018, and then look at the talent that we had last year, you know? I don't think it matters, to be honest. It matters, but it doesn't matter at the same time, because I feel like if you have the right coaching, the right play calling at the right time, and everybody plays like how they're supposed to, you're just going to win ball games. It's just going to bring everybody together. And I think that's what they did last year.
Absolutely. So are we, before we move on from this, are we on the same accord that we think we're going to be okay with the current coordinator setup, whether it's him / Sirianni, whether it's all him? Are we all in the same accord that we think we're going to be all right?
Yeah. I mean, I think we will be okay, just because, you know, reading everything and how they said, oh yeah, you know, Patullo was right behind Moore last year. You know, that kind of gives me a little boost, but at the same time, it's like, all right, I'd like to see a little bit of last year's offense with a little bit of new stuff, if that makes any sense. But like like different plays, yeah, you know, mix it up. And I don't know, I'm excited to see what he does.
Yeah, I mean, I do think the hope is that we fare out very, very well. Do I think there might be some hiccups? Sure. But that just goes back to not playing in the preseason. You know, I think he has a very good understanding of what your strong points are. And, you know, one of the other things that I think, you know, helped us out and helped Jalen Hurts out immensely was, you know, and this is by no means any kind of slight to Jason Kelce.
Didn't expect this, but go ahead.
But Jason Kelce also had control of what the offense did. It's no secret, you know, there's plenty of clips showing. So, but Jalen Hurts last year, everything he had control of, you know, which way he wanted to run the ball, audibles, you know, hot routes, et cetera, et cetera. And I think that has allowed Jalen Hurts to grow even more than he already has. And, you know, things like that is what turns good quarterbacks elite. And, you know, I think it's crazy to say the absence of Jason Kelce has helped Jalen Hurts take another step forward.
Great point. Glad you brought that up. We're going to talk more about Jalen later on in the podcast, but you're absolutely right. I don't think he gets talked about enough for his acumen at the line of scrimmage. There are so many things that he does, and even in the Super Bowl, there were things that he did that made plays. I'm not even really sure. I have to watch it again, but I think he made a call on the actual dagger play that changed the play. So, yes, Jason Kelce was huge. He was basically the quarterback that snapped the ball. So it's time for Jalen. And at this point in his career, he should have a handle on whatever offense he's running. Although it can't be easy to keep switching coordinators, you know, that being said. But I think that he should be fine. The next thing we're going to talk about is one I'm really curious to hear from you guys about, and that is our 2,000 yard, which I think he probably could have ran for 2,200 if he played in some games.
And didn't take himself out.
And didn't take himself out of games.
But that's just a team player right there, man. You
I
sit there and
know,
look.
but I just was like, man, bro.
I would have loved to see it. I would have loved to see him.
I grew up watching Eric Dickerson, so I know how much that record means to Eric, how much it means to Eric Dickerson. And just the fact that I know Saquon could have beat that record. I seen the other 2,000 yard seasons, and those guys like literally got those on like 30 carries in the final game to do it. Saquon could have did that shit easy. I actually think, for me, the better record that no one ever talks about is the Chris Johnson record. To me, that's the better record. 2,500 yards in a season. I think Saquon could have even come close to that. He wasn't crazy catching the ball out of the backfield, but I think he could have came close to that. With that being said, we had to talk about Saquon and his upcoming year. I've seen a lot of backs run for a lot of yards, and then the next year they kind of go downhill. The wear and tear on their bodies, it's undefeated. That being said, he doesn't take a ton of huge hits. I actually think that the biggest hit that he took, he got a concussion for, that no one ever talks about. If you look at that backwards flip.
I was just about to say that. He got rocked.
Came right out the game.
Mm-hmm.
Helmet to helmet.
He knew he got rocked. It was
just walk right off the field. Everybody remembers the flip, but nobody remember my man that hit him had his crown down and just rocked him.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think, other than that, he takes a ton of hits, but he's a running back. He's going to take hits. That being said, we have to talk about Saquon's usage. Clearly a big part of the team. His usage is a big part of the team. The team feeds off of what he does. It's a yin and a yang with the passing game in him. Where do you see Saquon's usage going? Do you think they just extended him? Do you think they run it back the same way, or did they tweak it, or is it a complete change?
My thought is, I think they tweak it, to be honest with you. The only reason I say that is, if you're going to rush for another 2,000 yards, like you said, that's a lot of wear and tear on the body. My opinion, I'd like to see him be out there for first, second down, third down. Listen, no offense. You sign this guy. You know who I'm talking about, A.J. Dillon.
Yep.
Right? He's great at catching out of the backfield also. So if you need that third down little, flat, for the running back to get out and catch, I think A.J. Dillon could do it too. And it just takes the wear and tear off of using Barkley for every play. Not saying he he was every play. But then you also got to look at a lot of his yards last year. He broke a lot of runs for long touchdowns.
Yeah, he had a ton of long.
He had a ton of them. So it's like a lot of his yards were that, but then he also had the wear and tear of, I don't know, rushing the ball for 15 times a quarter, if that,
Yeah.
It was a lot. But I think with A.J. Dillon and then you got Will Shipley also, I think they kind of cut it down a little bit. And when it comes to the end zone, you got A.J. Dillon, which is just a monster back. Even if you don't do the tush push every down, like you're right there at the goal line, you got A.J. Dillon, I think, which I think you need to use him just because, God forbid, a guy comes in and he's not blocked. He could rock Barkley shit, and that could be the end of Barkley's season.
Yeah.
I didn't
even think about that, but you're right.
But A.J. Dillon, he has 18 touchdowns, right, in his whole career. Not
Really? That's it?
Yeah. It's not a lot. He only has 2,500 rushing yards in his career, too.
Damn.
Yeah. But the thing is that out of the 18, I think it was 15 of them were right in the end zone.
Oh, right by the end zone?
Right by the end zone. So
okay.
It's like, when you're 20 yards out from the red zone, that's where a lot of his touchdowns were. It's not like he was breaking runs off like Barkley was.
Gotcha.
So I like I said, I think they just cut it in half, and that's what I want to see them do. Because I don't want to see, obviously I want to see another year like that from Barkley, but then at the same time, it's like that wear and tear on the body, all he's doing is he's just getting older. You know what I'm saying? Every year. So I think that's what I want to see.
I think Derrick Henry is the only outlier when it comes to that. He's the only guy that I know that's had like a crazy season where he's run for over 1,500 yards and then replicated it again. Like, it's extremely difficult. Like, to me, a successful season for Saquon is if he gets to like 1,250, 1,300. The birds are good. Don't get me wrong. I want to see that. But if he gets to like 1,300 yards, does the same thing, maybe even sit out some quarters if they're up.
Yeah, by a lot. You don't need them out there.
You don't need them out there. You know what I mean? So to me, that's what it would be.
And that's the other thing real quick is like, when you're up by a lot, you don't need them out there. And I think he runs for 1,200 yards this year. I don't think he runs more than 1,500.
1,200 is good.
Yeah, 1,200 is good. But you know why? It's because everybody's looking at that offense. Oh, listen, Saquon's about to get the ball, right? But then you switch it up this year. You got Saquon, or you got your weapons on the outside now. Use them a lot more. Throw in, I don't know, Will Shipley. Throw in A.J. Dillon. Throw in whoever you want. Get Jahan Dotson back in a little bit into the offense.
Yeah.
You brought him from the Commanders. He was a wide receiver 2. I understand he's a wide receiver 3. He's like a decoy, pretty much. Yeah. But I think you need to take a little bit off of Barkley this year.
Joy, what do you think?
The way they're talking about Barkley in camp, and he's seeing a lot of touches right now, I truthfully think this is going to be a Saquon Barkley / Nick Sirianni decision. Also, how the game goes. Saquon says he feels better than he has in quite a long time, and that's after a very long season. When a guy is special like that, of course you want to you want to look after your players. But if the guy, if he wants to go and he says he's good to go, you let him go. There's no question. A lot of people doubted Saquon's abilities. He got hurt a lot with the Giants, and the Giants had a putrid offensive line. He silenced a lot of doubters last year, and I do think he's a generational talent. And while you do have other guys like A.J. Dillon and Will Shipley, when you have a guy like Saquon Barkley and the talent that he brings and, the energy he brings, if you want to win, he stays on the field, and I do think the main goal is to reduce some of his uses to keep him healthier and keep him healthy for, another postseason push. But if it comes to it and Saquon needs to be on the field, there's no way Saquon's coming off the field.
Yeah, I agree. Football's an unforgiving game, unforgiving sport. And the Saquon extension leads you to think that we want to keep this guy around for a little while longer. But the game dictates everything. The money only dictates it after the game is over. Inside the lines, you're right. If they need Saquon to carry the ball 30 times, and it means they're going to win a game by a touchdown or a field goal, guess what? He's carrying the ball 30 times. So I don't. Fear has no place in football. But if I had one, it would be that he gets hurt, but then again, he's already been had some pretty severe injuries when he was playing for an inferior organization. This is not, this is not something that normally happens to the Birds. So while I agree with both of you, 1,200 yards would be the earmark for me. Cutting it in half, like you said, would be great. But like you said, if they're going to need them, they're going to use them.
And, to go back to, the 60-plus yard runs, he does that and scores. How much wear and tear is that on the body? That's a lot of yards for one rush.
Yeah. He had over 300 rushes last year, but
which is a lot. But, there's a lot of intangibles that go into play there.
That's true. I completely agree. A lot of those yards that he got, you're not rushing for 2,000 yards on 5 yards carries all the time.
And to go back to the record, I understand, the extra game, et cetera, et cetera. Eric Dickerson had extra games as well. But what really stood out to me, he would have broken that record, and he would have broken it with way less touches. He had 40 less, I think it was 40 to 44 less carries than Eric Dickerson did.
Yeah,
at the end of the year.
Eric Dickerson was close to 400 touches to get 2,100 yards, which is fucking insane. Football is different.
Yeah, but I mean, I agree with you, Derek, what you say. If the Eagles need them, they're going to use them.
Yeah.
But that's what I want to see. If they need them, they're going to use them, but just don't overdo it, I feel like. But then, I don't know. It's what Saquon wants to do is what Saquon's going to do. He's a dog.
Yeah, he seems like that too. I never got that sense from him when he was at Penn State. And clearly I didn't pay attention when he was with the Giants. I'll be honest with you. Every time I saw him with the Giants, he just seemed upset. He just always,
he didn't want to be there.
He was just sad all the time.
Well, you think about it. When you're playing behind that offensive line, I mean, I'd be sad too.
Yeah. It just seemed like I would see him on the sideline and he'd just be shaking his head woe is me. He just didn't seem like, you're right. He just didn't want, he didn't want to be there.
But that's the thing though, is you look at him then and then you look at him now. Smiles,
Yeah, he looks like he just got out of an abusive relationship. That's literally what he looks like.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God, I can't believe I was with this motherfucker so long and you really love me. That's exactly what he looks like.
I just spent 4 years and I didn't like it.
Yeah. I mean, had an Instagram post talking about something, new me, new you, all that bullshit they do. Better life. I'm ready now. Yeah.
But that's the thing though. I mean, when you come and you start winning ball games, it's
yes, it's different. It's most certainly different. Oh, that leads us to our next topic, which kind of goes into the Saquon thing. The passing game was extremely polarizing last year. There were times where it looked non-existent. There were times when it looked beautiful. I'll be honest with you. I didn't know what to really expect from Saquon other than getting, some touches. But when I watched the Brazil game, I'm like, oh, this is what we're doing. I mean, we going downfield. We doing this. We doing. I thought that's what the season was going to be like. It really wasn't. I mean, it turned into a happy marriage between Saquon and the rest of the offense. But I copycat league, things change. We need to see something different from the offense this year, especially the passing game. What does that look like for you guys? Sammy, I'll start with you. What does it look like for a different version of the passing game that we had last year?
I think we just need to see the Jalen Hurts that I feel like we have. We just haven't seen that version of him yet. Meaning, he's confident to throw the ball. I mean, yes.
You don't think he's confident to throw the ball now, or last year you don't think he was?
To a certain extent.
I don't have a.
No. So he started off a little bit slow, I want to say, with the passing game, but then you've seen his confidence. I mean, we could skip all the way to the Super Bowl when he's throwing the dagger at the end of the game. He had confidence in his wide receivers and his throwing ability. I mean, to fit that ball in when the defender was right on Devontae Smith, I mean, that right there just shows you that he has that.
Well, let's keep it 100. It's really easy to be confident when you're up 28-0.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying though, is that I want to see more of that confidence in close games.
Gotcha.
Use your arm, use the talent that you have around you in the passing game, and do what you do.
Absolutely. Completely agree. I'll ask you, Joey, what it is that you are looking for or want to see, if anything, from the passing game.
So, what's his name? Kevin Patullo, right?
Yes.
He had said some words about Jahan Dotson the other day, and he's talking about his comfortability with the team and his ability to really be who he is, playing inside, playing outside. That's one of the things I am looking for, and one of the things that I think is going to happen. I think, A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, they make outside wide receiver money. There's no question.
That's an understatement, yeah.
But I do think that Kevin Patullo is going to bring something to the offense that's going to have, a rotation of where these guys are lining up more frequently, because all three of them are so talented enough to play the outside. And, you want to take advantage of mismatches as much as possible. And, if you set up A.J. Brown in a slot and Devontae Smith and
yeah, that guy.
Oh my God. What? How did I draw a blank on his name that fast? I'm sorry. I still can't get it. Oh my goodness.
That drink getting to you.
Alshon Jeffrey, Torrey Smith.
Literally is where my mind. That's literally where my mind went.
All right, we're going to give you a little break real quick.
What is his name? The third wide receiver,
Jahan Dotson.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
Jesus.
Bro, you just brought up his name 2 seconds ago.
I'm drinking Tito's and Red Bull.
I don't know if it was that or the notifications.
Yeah, I did get a little excited.
Full disclosure, we are all on our phones watching the Phillies try to beat the Nationals.
And Schwarber and Harper just went back to back.
Yeah, so you must forgive us for that 5-minute interview.
But no.
Continue, Joey.
Jahan Dotson, A.J. Brown, and Devontae Smith, I think they're also versatile to where you can have Jahan Dotson and Devontae Smith on the outside and A.J. Brown on the inside and just totally obliterate a mismatch. And I think that's something I do want to see, because, you don't want to be one-dimensional per se. And, something like that can, one play can change the game.
Absolutely.
And I agree with that, because it's like, I've said it since we got him, Jahan Dotson.
You have been championing him for a while.
I have, but it's just like...
Is it because you watched him at Penn State, you saw what he could do? Or is it because of the...
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, kind of both, though. It's Penn State and Washington. It's like he played next to Scary Terry, right? But they moved him all around the field. But now that you have 3 guys that you can move all around the field, it doesn't matter who's in the slot, who's on the outside. It's just insane to think about, and that's what I want to see more of.
Gotcha. I mean, that makes sense. I agree with both of you. I think that there is a way to move the offense in a way that Dotson does get more catches. We mentioned it on the last podcast when you said that, a successful season looks like 500 yards or maybe
500 yards from
few tutties for you. Yeah. I most certainly agree with that. We mentioned earlier, though, that we're going to learn a lot about the team and what happens tomorrow in the preseason game.
Yeah.
Are we certain that Dotson is entrenched at the third wide receiver spot?
No.
You're not certain? What about you, Joey?
I want to say yes, just because you have you made an investment in him for trading him, and I think Howie still has some of that in his, in his mind, in his bloodstream. Well, I made a move for this guy.
Right.
He's gonna play, but I do, and tomorrow's gonna show us a lot. There's one name that I am looking out for, and it's Darius Cooper. And I think if Darius Cooper, plays the way he did in the first preseason game, if anyone has a shot to either steal time or steal the entire position, it's going to be him.
That's where I was going with it.
And that's why I said no. It's because of that kid. I mean, you're talking about undrafted free agent, and if you show out, you got an opportunity to take that position. So, that's why I said no, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree. It is extremely, it's a luxury to have that much talent on the offense. Not everyone has that. I see something in Cooper that, quite honestly, I'm not sure Dotson can do. I'm not really sure he's that kind of inside the hash marks route runner. I'm not sure that's what Dotson's game is. I think this kid Cooper can do that.
Yeah.
I just don't know if the offensive coordinator / head coach, I just don't know if they care about that. Like, since we got these two dynamic guys on the outside, I don't know if they really care. And we're also acting like we still don't have Dallas Goedert.
I was just going to say that too.
You know what I mean?
Well, and right, but and I don't know what Darius Cooper's speed is at or anything like that. By no means is AJ Brown slow, or neither is Devontae Smith. But I think Jahan Dotson brings the speed element to stretch the field for your other two wide receivers and my boy 88.
Yeah, he's still there, and they still need him.
Cooper ran a 4.49.
Yeah, that's enough.
It's enough.
That's enough. Yeah,
So,
the draft is such an inexact science, man. So he
ran a 4.49. Jahan Dotson ran a 4.43. So
yeah.
I mean,
and there's diamonds in the rough everywhere. If anybody's proved that, Jeff Stoutland,
absolutely,
to take taking a rugby player in Jordan Mailata and turning him into an all-pro offensive tackle, it's insanity.
Real quick, while we're talking about everything, you were talking about Jalen Hurts. Did you hear his interview after the practice?
No,
I loved it. You know how he's so quick with everything.
He
right?
is. Yeah.
Somebody, one of the guys asked him, they said, after winning a Super Bowl, did it make you more confident? His exact response was, when you got a promotion, does it make you confident?
God, Jalen Hurts, bro.
This guy's Nostradamus.
I sat there and rewatched it probably 5 times. I'm like, he has a damn point about that. And the dude's response was, I mean, I haven't gotten a promotion in a little bit, but I mean, still.
Yo, let me tell you something. People say to me sometimes that one of my superpowers is that I'm pretty quick with it. Like, I'm pretty quick on my feet. I can answer questions pretty quickly. Some of the things that he says like that, there's no way he rehearsed that.
No.
Like, he doesn't know that question is coming.
No, not at all.
And he's just like that. He's like with it. He's
insane.
He's something else, man. He's really, I'd like somebody to just crack open his back to see if he's an android. I'm not sure, because, man, he's something else, man, that Jalen. But he's absolutely right to answer the question.
Yeah.
You're right. So you don't get more confidence if you get a promotion. So I completely agree with that. Well done, my guys. We are going to take a short break, and we'll be back to the mound. I mean, this is actually the Mound Visit Reggie and Jerome hybrid podcast, but we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
I'd like to take a minute and interrupt the Reggie and Jerome podcast and welcome our new podcast, The Mound Visit, your unofficial trip to the mound for all things Philadelphia Phillies. We're stepping off the rubber, kicking some dirt, and breaking down everything from Broad Street bombs to Citizens Bank drama. Whether you've been riding with the Phils since the vet or just hopped on the Red October train, grab your glove, grab your rally towel, and settle in. This is the Mound Visit, where every episode brings the heat.
And we're back. Our next topic for discussion is one that seems to have polarized a lot of football media, a lot of sports media, a lot of journalists throughout the country when it comes to football, because the main position in football is the quarterback. He gets all the praise and all the blame when shit don't go right. Our quarterback seems to be one of the most polarizing that's played in quite some time, especially in this season, because we've had some polarizing quarterbacks. We had one that couldn't win the big one, and he got blamed for throwing worm burners, and we had another one who literally went to prison for fighting dogs. So to say that this guy is more polarizing than some of them is saying a lot. Their skill sets were a lot different than his, clearly, but he did something that they could not do, which is win the chip. So we're going to talk about our QB1, Jalen Hurts. The national media seems to think that he is a little bit better than average. I have a little bit different take on that. So I wanted to get you guys' thoughts on, or your feelings on what you think about our QB1. Where do you think he can improve at? Does he need to improve? And why do you think he gets looked at in such a different light than a lot of the other quarterbacks that are in the league?
Simply because this is Philadelphia and the national media just doesn't have the respect they should for Philadelphia sports. That's how I feel. When they talk about Jalen Hurts, it's, when he wins, he has a super team around him. And when he loses, it's his fault no matter what. The man wins. There's nothing more important in the game of football, or it's sports in general, than winning. He finds a way to win. When the lights have been the brightest, he's outplayed the best quarterback of the last 8 years in Patrick Mahomes. Granted, he did lose the Super Bowl the first time around, but you can't tell me he didn't outplay him. We were a pass interference holding call. They was fighting all night away from Jalen Hurts having 2 Super Bowls. It seems like no matter what he does, the goalpost always gets moved.
That's a good way to put it. Sammy?
I think media, instead of shaming this guy, they need to put some goddamn respect on his name.
Put some respect on his fucking name.
The reason I say that is because you sit here and you look, Patrick Mahomes this, Lamar Jackson this, Josh Allen, Dak Prescott. Where's Jalen Hurts in this goddamn conversation? Joe Burrow, right? You could talk about all the other QBs, but when it comes to Philly, like Joey said, there's something about us. They just don't like us. Go ahead.
I got an interesting stat, and I was going to hold this off for a little while, but I'm going to just let it roll now.
Okay.
Quarterbacks Josh Allen has beaten in the playoffs: Skylar Thompson, who? Mac Jones, Mason Rudolph, and Bo Nix.
That's who he's beaten in the playoffs?
Beaten in the playoffs. Quarterbacks Jalen Hurts has beaten in the playoffs:
Can't wait to hear this.
Patrick Mahomes,
Heard of him.
Matthew Stafford,
Super Bowl winner Matthew Stafford.
Jaden Daniels, Jordan Love. And that was just last year.
Damn, that's a pretty good murderer's row of quarterbacks.
No disrespect to Josh Allen. I think he's an elite quarterback.
I agree.
But you can't sit here and tell me that he's light years ahead of Jalen Hurts when he gets to the playoffs and time again gets knocked down by Patrick Mahomes. Don't get me wrong. Good another elite quarterback. But our quarterback stepped up to the plate and whooped his ass.
For the record, Joey is our resident "what did you do in the playoffs" and winning matters in sports guy. I agree. Sammy, I'm sure you agree to a certain extent.
No, I totally agree.
Totally agree.
Totally agree.
So, sports is about winning, and it's about what you do when the lights are the brightest. And when the lights are the brightest, Jalen Hurts shows up.
I agree. I mean, like I was saying a little bit ago, is like you talk about all the QBs, right? We can actually say that Patrick Mahomes, yes, he's a great QB, right? But when they talk about Jalen Hurts, it's like they're just trying to put him down. And everything that I've read, there's guys that don't even have him in the top 10 QBs, right? And they're just talking about Dak Prescott and his salsa dancing, warming up, and Lamar Jackson. Yes, Lamar Jackson's a great football player. He runs the shit out of the ball. He's more a running back than a QB than I think sometimes. Yes, he's an MVP, but god damn, man.
The Dak Prescott thing just it irks me. Dak Prescott's been in the year been in the league how many years?
6,
7, 8, whatever it is.
Yeah, he's been in the league for almost.
Oh no,
it might be 9 years. He might be the same
close
as
to
Pat
9 years.
Mahomes.
Yeah.
How long has Jordan Love been in the playoffs? I mean, in the league?
4.
They have the same amount of playoff wins, or Jordan Love might have one more.
Then Dak Prescott?
Yes.
Makes sense.
I'm just tired of it.
I think that with the media thing, I think a lot of it is that it's the summer, right? It's polarizing to talk about it because they know that a lot of Philadelphia fans can be sensitive to it. So it's almost like I'll put this out there so, we can get some kind of reaction. For normal, like journalists, I'm okay with that. But when football people say that stuff, to me, I think it's, it's almost degrading because of the fact that what more does a person have to do in a 4-year span other than balling out in 2 Super Bowls? Because at the end of the day, that's all that matters, right?
Yep.
Like, if he threw for 5,000 yards, would he be a better quarterback in their eyes? Like, I don't know. And it's not like he played bad. Like the first Super Bowl appearance was one of the best performances I ever saw, period, from a quarterback in a big game. One bad play. Other than that,
one bad play in a shitty field, but you can't really blame it on that because they had to play on the same field.
They had to play on the same field, but if you take out our Philadelphia fandom and just watch it objectively, he played brilliantly in that game, right? Fast forward to this past year. Yes, he won the Super Bowl MVP. It's a quarterback award for the most part. The Chiefs let it be known that they were not going to let Saquon get started, and they didn't. Credit to them. Kudos. That ball had to get in the end zone somehow. One guy could do it, and the other guy couldn't. It's as simple as that. So the national media's take on Jalen, I think it's laughable at times. Now, locally, I feel it's almost the same way. I talk to people and they say, yeah, it's almost like they won despite him, which is weird to me. We were just somewhere the other day, the 3 of us at your game. And my man comes over and it's like he's complaining about Jalen Hurts. Like, he just won a Super Bowl. What you complaining about? Hey, is it because he's not 6'6" and doesn't look like, a quarterback? He doesn't look like Josh Allen? I don't get it. It just baffles me. But on the same token, I think for us in this room, we feel as though like that's our guy. So we want to protect our guy. I think we're smart enough to understand how football works. It's a quarterback league, but it all has to work in tandem with each other. Patrick Mahomes has never won a Super Bowl by himself. He always had help. And there's no quarterback that has done it by himself. So I really wanted to get you guys' thoughts and your feedback on that, because I know that it's a sensitive topic for us. I hate talking about it, but I did want to bring it up at least once. I wanted us to talk about Jalen and what he does, what we know he does for our team, and also what he does for the city. I think he's important for that too. Although one doesn't really have anything to do with each other. Quarterback is a face of your franchise. What more do you want from the face of your franchise other than somebody like Jalen Hurts?
Yeah. And the one thing that really aggravates me the most is, I'll bring it back to 2000, right? I understand it's 25 years, right? But you sit here and you look, and the Eagles have 20 playoff wins from 2000.
Second most.
Behind the Patriots, right? And then you look at the other teams that have those QBs. Not saying that they've been in the league that long, right? But you got Dallas at 4. You got Cincinnati at 5. But Jalen Hurts, what's this, his fifth season,
yeah.
He's made it to the playoffs
every year as a starter.
It's like, at some point you have to put respect on this guy's name.
That's a great point.
What is it? What is the thing that is having you not put respect on this guy's name? What does he have to do? Go to another Super Bowl and be the MVP again? Or he wasn't the first. He wasn't the MVP because Saquon wasn't he?
No, it was Jalen.
No, it was Jalen. Yeah, so
they'll do what they always do. They'll just keep moving the goalpost.
Yeah, no,
it's not right.
No, it's not.
But I agree with you with the football guys who slandered Jalen's name and his play. Them guys. They know what it takes to be a quarterback in this league. And, Chase Daniel's a clown. He's the biggest clown out, Don't criticize a guy when you have not even a 16th of the stats in your career that Jalen has in 5 years.
You can talk about the other stuff if you want to talk about reading coverages and stuff like that, but you can't talk about the final stat of winning unless you've come close to it. And a lot of those guys, they're great mouthpieces, but they never come close to what he's done. If he makes another Super Bowl I don't know when, but I'm pretty sure, I'm confident that he's going to make another one. If he goes to 3 and 4 years, there's no more conversation at that point, right?
There can't be.
There
can't be another. You got to crown him like you crown Mahomes. And to me, when I watched both of those Chiefs Super Bowls, the guy in green was the better quarterback on the field both times.
Absolutely.
Yeah, even when they played in the regular season, because he was the better quarterback. Just doesn't get, like you said, put some respect on his name. That's all you really can say at this point.
Yeah.
So that moves us to our last topic, which kind of goes hand in hand with the Jalen Hurts conversation. For the better part of the summer, honestly, for the better part of a couple of years, this guy's been picked apart and compared and ranked. Normally, I hate lists, but it just seems like it's always talked about. Since we are a Birds podcast, we are a sports podcast. The Eagles are our team. I thought it would be a great idea for us to rank the top 10 quarterbacks in the league. We are all really, really unbiased, all of us. That's one of the things I like about doing the podcast with you guys. Yes, we love the Birds. We love the Phils. We're 4 for 4 guys. We love Philadelphia sports. But we don't bullshit. And we don't have any problem with calling things out when they're warranted. But we also don't have a problem giving kudos out when they're warranted. So that's the reason why I thought it was important that we do this. So that being said, we are going to rank from 10 to 1 our top quarterbacks in the league. I'm going to start with you, Joey. I want you to start with your number 10 guy, and we'll go around the table. Joey, who you got at number 10 is one of your top 10 quarterbacks?
At number 10, I have C.J. Stroud. He's a quarterback that, in a lackluster division, I would like to see more out of him. But, he's had some key injury losses to his wide receiver core. Tank Dell, I believe, twice. Nico Collins, a handful of games. And, he goes out there and he gets the job done. He wins. They won the division, I believe, 2 years in a row. And, when you look for a quarterback, you want to be in the postseason consistently. And that, once you're in the dance, anything can happen.
Absolutely. Sammy, who you got at number 10?
Well, I have CJ Stroud also. I had Dak Prescott. I'm going to be straightforward with you. But the thing that stands out for me is Dak Prescott has had elite wide receivers, right? We sit here. He still does. He has CeeDee Lamb. He had Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb. He had Brandon Cooks. You look at CJ Stroud, he had Nico Collins and Tank Dell. But he's also been in the league for 2 years and has made the playoffs both years.
Sorry to cut you off, with an absolutely atrocious offensive line.
Yeah. But then you sit here and you look at Dak Prescott. And listen, Dak Prescott, he's like 11 or 12 maybe on my list, but he's been in the league for 9 seasons. And they both have the same amount of playoff wins at 2.
Wow. Telling.
Just, and that's the reason why, CJ Stroud has, I can't say more to prove because he's proven just in the playoffs having the same amount of wins as Dak Prescott. But at the same time, the kid's young. The kid's really good at playing that QB position. And I feel like if he had those top wide receivers that Dak Prescott has, it'd be a whole different story. And like Joey said, a different offensive line. Because if you take Dallas's offensive line from a few years ago and move them in front of CJ Stroud, there you go.
Dak Prescott is 2-5 in the playoffs.
In 9 seasons.
Yeah. At some point, the ancillary things around the quarterback don't matter as much as the quarterback elevating his team. And I agree wholeheartedly.
What was it, 2 seasons ago? They ran and took the division from us, and then Green Bay come into their house and absolutely stomped the dog shit out of them.
That was one of the weirdest playoff games I ever saw. I'm clearly not a Cowboys fan, but as I'm watching the game, I was almost in shock. I'm like, oh man, this is the boys' time. We're out the way. This is their run. Man, did they shit the bed in that game. I mean, Green Bay was decent, but my God. So yeah, you guys both had CJ Stroud. I believe this is probably the first time this has happened. I also have CJ Stroud. I went back and forth on to put Dak Prescott there. Look, the guy's thrown for 4,000 yards. He's an amazing regular season quarterback. He's had every opportunity to win. He's had a decent defense, good offensive line. He's had skill position guys.
His whole offensive line at one point were Pro Bowler.
Exactly. He has not been able to produce in any of that time. But yet, if you listen to him, he still thinks that he has something that he's going to do that is any different. And maybe he will. Maybe we'll look back in 4 months and we'll all look like we're fucking idiots. But you got to show me. And at this point in his career, he ain't been able to show me that you can do anything. Stats are one thing. Like J.A. already says, at some point winning matters. And he just hasn't been able to win. I didn't want to turn this into a Dak Prescott, but it's clearly we all went back and forth on that last spot with Dak Prescott. You already said what you had to say about C.J. Stroud. I don't want to reiterate it or regurgitate it, but I completely agree with both of what you guys said. I look at C.J. Stroud, to me, in the short amount of time that I've watched him, he just looks like a winner. I think that if at some point his team changes, that conversation of AFC quarterbacks where it's so top heavy with those top 3 or 4 guys, you're going to have to put him in the conversation. If his team around him changes, I think he'll be in that conversation. So for me, at number 10, I also have CJ Stroud.
And it's not that I want to root for any other teams or anything like that, but that is a guy in the league that I'm pulling for. I would like to see him do great.
Even when we were watching the playoff games last year, and I was watching him play, they played the Chiefs in the first round, I believe. It just seemed like he just didn't have enough. Like you mentioned, wide receivers were out. It just like, man, if this guy had just a couple of more guys, Joe Mixon wasn't enough. He needed something more, and he just did not have it. And I felt for him because I could tell. I think he knew.
Yeah, I mean, he was playing.
He just didn't have enough.
Playing behind a paper mache offensive line.
Yeah. So, yeah, couldn't agree more. Great takes, guys. Moving on to number 9. Jay, who you got?
I have Baker Mayfield. Whenever you're brought into Cleveland, it is tough sledding. And while he did play good, I think, his time there just ran out. And that's all right. He had gotten a second chance with the Rams briefly, and I think he was there for 2 days and had to step in, and he led them down the field a game-winning drive to secure a victory, then went and got paid by the Buccaneers. And since he's been with the Bucs, he's been rejuvenated. And granted, he's got a good supporting cast around him. I mean, Mike Evans is a Hall of Famer. There's no questioning that. But, he's played well. He's they put him in the system. He's producing, and, I like Baker.
Yeah, I do as well. Sammy, who you got?
I have Jaden Daniels as my number 9. I understand the kid was a rookie last year, but this kid showed out, and it's hard for me to say because I'm an Eagles fan, but I think
I just prefaced it earlier. We keep it 100.
No, listen, I keep it 100, and I think he's going to have a great career. And, I mean, he had, 3,500 passing yards and 25 touchdowns last year as a rookie.
That's impressive.
His completion percentage was 69% last year.
Wow.
But that's not the only thing. He also rushed for 891 yards as a rookie.
Yeah.
And just seeing that as a rookie last year, it's like we said, and we're going to keep it 100, but I can't wait to see what this kid's future holds for him.
Yeah, I agree. I think that there's only the only thing that's going to stop him from being who we think he might be able to be is his team, not him. He seems really grounded. Seems like he's a worker, and I like that. And as a Washington, if I was a Washington Commanders fan, I would be really excited about what I see out of Jaden Daniels. It's been a long time since they had anything to be excited about other than the brief Robert Griffin years. So I think that he has all the intangibles to do just that. My number 9 guy is not Jaden Daniels. My number 9 guy is a guy I call him the AFC version of Dak Prescott, honestly. And that's Justin Herbert. Tons of measurables, looks like an amazing quarterback, can't win for shit. But if you look at him and you hear people talk about him, he looks like he was drafted. I mean, he was picked out of a lineup to be in a movie about a starting quarterback. And I think sometimes we get fooled into that and not what the guy actually does. I know there are times his team has let him down, but I've also seen times when he hasn't been able to pull his team along. He's got a rocket arm. He is an amazing reader of defenses. I've seen it, but there's something missing from him, and I just don't know what it is. There are intangibles with all football players, and it just seems like there's something that he does not have. And it's not that stuff. It's not the reading of the coverages. It's not the toughness. It's just something. I can't put my finger on it, but at the end of the day, he don't look like a winner to me. So I have Justin Herbert as my number 9 quarterback on the list of my top 10. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but some people have him a lot higher. But for me, he's my number 9 guy. Moving along, Jay, we're at number 8 on your list. Who you got, play?
I had Justin Herbert. You hit the nail on the head there. That this is a quarterback that a lot of national media guys put ahead of Jalen Hurts, and you said it best that he hasn't won squat. He struggles to get his team to the postseason, and then when it's time to nut up or shut up, he falls very short of what a top 10 quarterback's supposed to do. But I do like him. Like he has all the capabilities, has all the abilities. He's just got to be able to put it together. And, that could be a him thing, could be a coaching thing. He's got hardball over there now, and we'll see what happens. But, there's not much more else I can say that you already didn't cover.
No doubt. Sammy C?
I have Justin Herbert also as my number 8. You guys pretty much already covered him. My biggest thing is he's a great QB, right? He's not the top QB, but he's a great QB. And I don't know if it's the mix-up of his wide receivers, leaving, coming back, and his wide receivers getting injured and this and that. He also faces some very tough teams when he gets to the playoffs, right? I mean, you got the Ravens, you got, the Texans. It doesn't matter. Those teams are very strong over in the AFC. And
that's the balance part, right?
Yeah.
He's got to go through this gauntlet of teams in order to be, there's no way around it. At some point, for him to get to where he has to get to, he's got to go through either Jackson, Burrow, Mahomes, or Allen.
Yeah.
Right?
Right. Just like that.
At some point, he's got to go through at least two of those guys.
Yeah.
You know?
And I think that's what really gets him. Like I feel like if he didn't have to play them guys, I think he'd be a lot better QB.
Sure, but if you want to be considered great, at some point you have to knock those guys down.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no,
and that's where another guy who's a lot higher on this list, we'll talk about him later, but yeah, exactly.
Yeah, between, that and his offensive line not being strong, I mean, you could just say that he goes from an offensive line that CJ Stroud pretty much has, right? It's not an elite offensive line. They've been back and forth with who the hell their running back is for the past 2-3 years. Their coach. Like, I don't know. I mean, like I said, that's why I have him at number 8. Just because there's guys above him on my list that I think that are better and that have proven themselves that they're better than what he is.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I think we all hit on this basically the same thing when talking about. Yeah. Good job. My number 8 guy, and we don't have to, rehash it too much, is Jaden Daniels. I think that Jaden Daniels is going to be a force that is going to be there for us as long as his team, surrounds him with good players. I think that Washington is going to be right there with us for the next few years. Do I think they might take a dip this year? I do. They won a lot of one-score games last year. That's not sustainable. You have to get better and not have so many of those. But as far as the other things, like I said, I'm not going to rehash it. You guys, you touched on it. I think he's going to be a really, really good quarterback. He cares about winning and he cares about getting better. And at the end of the day, all quarterbacks that are really, really good, that's what they do. Moving up, we're at number 7. Jay, who you with?
Before I get to my number 7, you guys both had Jaden Daniels on your list, and I'm just going to let this cat out of the bag now. He did not make my top 10.
Okay.
To me, it might be a little still too early. While I do think he is he's going to be a great quarterback.
Full disclosure, I debated it for a while for that same reason.
It's still too early. And, I'm just going to read off a list of quarterbacks he beat last year. And while you mentioned a lot of one-score games, a few of these guys he only beat by 5 or less points.
Talk to me.
Daniel Jones twice. Pedestrian quarterback.
Dog shit.
Joe Burrow and a terrible defense. He beat them by 5. It was a 38-33 game.
I remember.
Kyler Murray. Another okay quarterback. Deshaun Watson, who
torn Achilles,
might not even play in the NFL again.
No.
Certainly not the Deshaun Watson of the Houston Texans.
That Deshaun Watson was left on the massage table. Keep going.
Andy Dalton.
What? Who?
Andy Dalton. He was
I thought he was the coordinator for Winslow High School. He's still playing?
He's still playing. He was with the Carolina Panthers. This is when they were going back and forth.
Wow.
Bryce Young had an awful start to the year, and they pulled him and put Andy Dalton in the start.
Yeah, you're right. I forgot about that.
He beat Caleb Williams and the Bears by 3.
Hail Mary.
Will Levis, who's lost his starting job in a matter of 2 years, was drafted 2 years ago.
Did I redo my list?
Spencer Rattler by 1. And a pedestrian New Orleans Saints towards the end of the year. Kenny Pickett, when Jalen Hurts got hurt in week, what was that, like 16, 15, something like that?
the game that we should have won.
And
we were going to win.
And won on a last-second touchdown.
Yep.
And Michael Penix Jr. at the end of the year with the Falcons while they were trying to figure out what their team is. By no means do I want to disrespect Jaden Daniels.
You're just giving context.
To be in this top 10 quarterback, you still have more to prove. You got to knock down some of these higher elite teams and quarterbacks. I mean, he beat Jared Goff in the playoffs, but did he really beat Jared Goff in the playoffs, or did Jared Goff beat himself? Jared Goff, I believe, threw 3 picks that game.
It was
still a very close game.
This is true.
You know, you just have to show me more. Do I believe he can be in this list? Absolutely. He has all the intangibles, all the talent to be within these top 10 quarterbacks. I just got to see it for maybe another year or two. That's all.
I got no problem with that. Well said, Joe.
So let me get into my number 7, who is Jared Goff. Jared Goff's a guy who I've always doubted. I've always had my doubts. I've always had my opinion about him. You know, to me, he's a guy who you can confuse at quarterback very easily, and teams have kind of taken advantage of that. You know, last minute changes on the defense, you know, right before he needs to hike the football, seems to get him a little scrambled, a little confused in the head, and that's where he makes those mistakes. Jared Goff, at the same time, can absolutely put the team on his back and win you a game. But then you get that downside, which is a very low downside, where he can throw 5 picks in a game. But that being said, you know, he had a change in team to the Detroit Lions, and he's been relevant. He's been in the mix. He's been putting up numbers. He's been winning. You know, their team fell short with a lot of injuries last year as well. And, you know, it came down to the last game of the season, which nobody expected the Minnesota Vikings to be, 14-1 come or something like that come the last couple weeks of the season. But, you know, he's definitely put the work in. He's got a strong team around him. And I do think that he can go blow for blow on a good day with anybody on this list.
Pause.
But yeah, that's my number 7.
Sammy C?
My number 7 is Baker Mayfield. The guy tore it up last year. I mean, you know, it also goes back to his injuries that he had for his wide receivers, and, you know, you can go on and on. But the guy threw for 41 touchdowns, which was tied for second in the league last year. He also threw for 4,500 yards. So, you know, starting with Cleveland and then going to the Rams, like Joey said earlier, and then just going to the Buccaneers and just turning his career around, it shows that he's one of these top QBs in the league. And I think that, I mean, the guy got paid. Right? And I think that he's going to keep improving, I'm going to say. I mean, he's 30 years old now, but I think he's better than a lot of the other QBs that are in the league right now to this day. And I mean, I would, like, if you take an instance, if you need a driving or a game-winning drive, I'm taking Baker Mayfield over, I don't know, 15 other quarterbacks.
I can see that.
So that's why he's my number 7.
It's so weird that we're talking about these guys because these 2 quarterbacks, and just to start it off, I also had Baker Mayfield here, and the reason why I had him here was because of a lot of things that you said. He's he just seems like a gamer to me. I don't think he has the greatest arm talent. I don't think he's by far the quickest quarterback. I don't even know if he's the best coverage reader. But when the ball gets snapped, I like what that guy does with the ball when the ball gets snapped. Some things you just can't account for. And while I mentioned earlier about Justin Herbert not having those intangibles, if Justin Herbert had Baker Mayfield's intangibles, I think he'd already have a Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying? Like there's just something about him that I like. He's not a winner, but he is a winner. If you know what I mean.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It seems like the team really fights with him and he fights for them. What more do you want in a quarterback? It doesn't matter if he throws for 400 yards or 150. You know, and I've seen him get the shit beat out of him. He's just going to keep coming and coming. And for that reason alone, I have him in the same spot as you do. And when I get to my next guy, I will tie all these three guys in together. Moving forward, Joey, who do you have at the number 6 spot?
Number 6, I have Matthew Stafford.
Perfect.
An OG, a vet. He's got a Super Bowl under his belt finally. He's proven time and time again that he can carry a team. You saw it with it was a shame that the Lions were just a bad team. But even with the Lions, he always kept you in a game. He had some incredible plays with an incredible wide receiver and Megatron. But, then he goes over to the Rams, and was it his first year with the Rams? He goes to the Super Bowl and
first year,
and he beats Joe Burrow and the Bengals on a questionable holding call. We know what that feels like.
Wasn't that dog shit ass Super Bowl to watch?
It was
like
terrible.
9-6.
Yeah, it was
something
terrible.
like that.
Yeah, it was terrible.
But
but we're not going to put any smut on that Super Bowls.
No.
To me, Matt Stafford is probably a Hall of Famer, and he's very deserving to be among the top 10 quarterbacks, and he's my number 6 guy.
Sammy, who you got at number 6?
Matthew Stafford.
Go figure.
Yeah, go figure. He's a Hall of Famer. I just have to put it out there. He just is. I mean, the game-winning drives that he's done, just the games in general that he's won, a lot of playoff wins. He has the Super Bowl under his belt. And the wide receivers that he has had is just absolutely insane to think about. Between Megatron and then his first year with the Rams was Cooper Kupp. He was like a runner-up, or the MVP, wasn't he?
He had almost 2,000 yards.
Yeah, almost 2,000 yards of receiving, And now, a few years ago, he had Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua. I mean, but the guy just knows how to play. And, I mean, he's one of my top 10 because, like I said before, if it's a game-winning drive, I have faith in this guy. And just the stuff that he's proven over the years. I mean, he's 37 years old, still playing that QB position. It's absolutely insane to think about.
Yeah. I'm not even going to belabor the point. I had Matthew Stafford as well at number 6. It's so weird. It obviously didn't know it was going to work out this way, but it did. So the 3 guys we just spoke about, Baker Mayfield, Jared Goff, and Matthew Stafford. I'm not going to get into all the stuff that you guys talked about. My nephew played with each one of those guys. He played at the Senior Bowl with Baker Mayfield. His first year, he played with Jared Goff. And his last year with the Rams, he played with Matthew Stafford. Went to 2 Super Bowls with both of those guys. To this day, he talks about Matthew Stafford and how he also had that thing where you wanted to run through a wall for this guy outside of the intangibles, because Matthew Stafford, when he first came to the league, he would make throws that veterans wouldn't make. He was almost like a smarter version of Brett Favre because he had such a big arm. But not only that, if you watch a lot of the earlier Lions, I want to say prime Calvin Johnson years, the balls he would throw to him were some of the most catchable balls that anybody, damn, I said catchable balls. That anybody,
Balls.
yeah, thank you, appreciate that. That
We're a little late on that.
yeah,
But
that anybody could catch, and he's had, I don't know what you mentioned him. He's had several Pro Bowl caliber receivers. That's also helped him, but it does not take away from the fact that he's helped them too. And he's one of the few guys, even on this list, that I like watching play. For that reason, outside of all the intangibles that you talked about, Matthew Stafford is number 6 on my list.
I agree with that. I mean, he had Calvin Johnson. He also had Golden Tate, Marvin Jones Jr.
Yeah, he's had some ballers,
He's
bro.
had some ballers.
Yeah.
But the guy he's very good at what he does.
Yeah, it really is.
Georgia Bulldog.
Yes, sir. Moving up our list, J.A. It's starting to get a little tight up at the top. I'm sure we're going to have some differences, but probably not a lot. We're going to start here. Who you got?
Number 5, I have Joe Burrow. You know, what he did last year offensively was amazing. You know, granted, he has a terrible defense. But at the same time, great quarterbacks find a way to win. It's as simple as that. And, you know, same thing. You got to get in the playoffs to win, to be considered a great. That's how I view things. And he's missed the playoffs a few times. And, you know, it's not, you know, there is no lackluster of power on the offensive side of the ball for him. Granted, should his general manager and the front office help him out a bit on the other side of the ball? Absolutely. But, you know, Joe Mixon, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase.
Not a lot of excuses in that
Right.
offensive huddle.
You know, him and Jamar Chase have played together since LSU. You know, they're very familiar with one's game, and Jamar Chase had a hell of a year last year. But again, you got to get over the hump. You got to make the playoffs. You got to win. You got to get into these championship games. You got to get into these Super Bowl games. And he just hasn't been able to do it.
Yeah, he's made one Super Bowl, but it was a terrible one. But yeah, I feel you on that. Sammy C, where you at on number 5?
Oh, number 5. I swear we didn't study together, but it's Joe Burrow. The other guys that I have on my list have just outplayed him, I guess you could say. He has that talent of just a great QB.
Love watching him throw the football.
Me too. And the thing is like, he makes plays happen. And if it wasn't for his dog shit defense, I think he'd be in a lot more Super Bowls, to be honest with you, because he has that winning mentality and he has that urge to knock off big teams and other big QBs. And I mean, you've seen it his Super Bowl year. I mean, he knocked off, was it the Chiefs to get there?
Yeah.
Yeah. He knocked off Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs.
When they were calling Arrowhead, Burrowhead.
Yeah. So, you know that he has that talent and he has the urge to go out there and win and just be that QB that, you know that he is. And hands down, if he didn't have the defense that he has now, he'd be a lot stronger than what he is. Because he has the talent around him. I mean, just like Joey said, with T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, I mean, they are some dogs, and they know how to play football. But that guy just puts the team on his back and just goes after it because he just wants to win.
Yeah, it's no fault of his that they haven't gotten to where they should be getting. He's done a lot of it on his part.
Yeah, and I mean, you see it in college.
But, it's still no excuse. Like, last year they had like the 29th ranked defense and 27th in yards allowed. Awful. Jalen Hurts, what was it, last year? Well, not this past season, the season before. We had the 30th ranked defense and we still won 11 games.
Wow.
That right there is why I have him at the number 5 spot. Yeah, defense is important, but again, great quarterbacks find a way to win.
Agreed. Clearly, I had him at number 5 as well, so I don't have to rehash anything you guys said. You both made amazing points about Joe Burrow. Again, one of my favorite guys. I like watching to play football, so I also had Joe Burrow at number 5. Now, move up the list to number 4. J.A., who you got?
At number 4, I have our very own Jalen Hurts.
Okay. All right.
This is obviously an Eagles podcast.
Absolutely.
But by no means is there a bias here. If there was a bias here, I'd have him ranked number 1.
Right.
But with that being said, he is behind a few guys, and we'll get to those guys. But aside from one of the guys that's ahead of him, he's won a Super Bowl. He's won a Super Bowl MVP. Is there some things that Jalen Hurts could do better? Sure, but that's the game of sports. Is to improve. You don't get to the highest level and become stagnant and think you're gonna obtain and have success for years to come. You always have to work at getting better, and Jalen Hurts has proven that each year. He's 4 years as a starter, 4 playoff appearances. And like we said earlier, when the lights shined brightest, Jalen Hurts laced up his cleats and balled the fuck out. There's no other way to slice that cake. When it comes to winning big games, Jalen Hurts is the guy that I want wearing that Eagles uniform, leading us down the field, game-winning drive. He's the only AFC quarterback that is in this top list and is regarded as a great quarterback that he hasn't beat is Justin Herbert.
Took my thunder with that one.
But you're right. You talk about all these other great quarterbacks.
Not just AFC, the complete list.
In general.
Yeah, he's the only one he hasn't beaten.
And, I think that's going to happen this year. I believe we play them. But, there's nothing, he has the skill set. To me, he throws one of the best deep balls in the league. He can run and get you a first down when he needs to. He can run and break a run and get into the end zone like he did against the Rams to start the game. He has all the tools. He has all the intangibles. And it's a shame that a lot of these people in the national media don't recognize this and don't give him the flowers that he deserves.
Well said, J.A. Sammy C., where you at?
Jalen Hurts. I mean, Joey kind of just covered everything.
Yeah, he hit that out the park.
Yeah, he did. I really don't have much to say about Jalen Hurts.
I mean, we're talking about him for an hour, so yeah.
Yeah,
I got you.
I mean, he's just that guy. Put some fucking respect on his name. That's all I got to say, really. Because you look at anybody else ranking QBs, sometimes he doesn't even make the top 10. So like I said, I'm going to end it right here. Put some fucking respect on his name.
Well said. I do not have Jalen Hurts right here. I will get to where I have Jalen Hurts. But who I have right here is probably going to sound a little odd to some people, but to me, it's A, it's my list, but B, I dug real deep when I did this one. I have Patrick Mahomes right here at number 4. And the reason why I had Patrick Mahomes right here at number 4 is football is a show me now league. I don't care how many passes you've thrown. Aaron Rodgers has won an MVP. Is he MVP now? No. I know that there was a line issue in the Super Bowl. But even before then, I really thought they were scraping by before they even got to that point. I think they won a lot of those playoff games off of reputation and not a lot of what they were actually doing. It's like the old Mike Tyson line. A lot of these guys are beat before I even walk into the ring because they're scared of me. And I think that has a lot to do with who Mahomes is.
Absolutely.
Is he amazing? Absolutely. But I'm not sure he is who we think he is all the time.
He benefits from playing in Arrowhead. It is a tough stadium to play in.
Yes. Couldn't agree more. Obviously I have him at number 4, so that doesn't mean he's, ass by any stretch of the imagination. Like fucking Patrick Mahomes. Like he does shit on a football field I've never seen. But in the last couple of playoffs, he's done things that other quarterbacks couldn't get away with, that he's been able to get away with. And it gets looked at like, oh, that's Patrick Mahomes. He's running across the field. He's throwing across his body. Other quarterbacks will be vilified for some of the shit that he does. Sometimes he pulls it off and sometimes he don't. But because he's Patrick Mahomes, he gets that card to do it.
And you saw it in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Threw across his body and Cooper DeJean took it to the house for a pick 6.
Horrific throw. Like, we talked about it on the last pod, what a great play it was by Cooper, but the ball should have never been thrown. The receiver behind him was even covered. And it wasn't like he should have even been pressing. It was 10-0. You Patrick Mahomes, right? You can't come back from 10-0. The fact that his line, and I've seen, we're talking greats, right? I've seen Brady be in situations where he had a lot less than what Patrick Mahomes had in that game and still won.
28-3.
I don't see Mahomes doing that. He could not do that. And it seemed like he got so out of himself in that game because he was in a place he didn't think he was either going to be in or he knew he couldn't get out of.
He was uncomfortable. And, this goes for everyday life. You have to be comfortable being uncomfortable.
Absolutely. And that, maybe if we do this again in a year, that changes. But that took a lot of the luster off of what I think Patrick Mahomes is. He's still an amazing quarterback, one of the best that I've ever done it. But for this ranking, for right now, I have him at number 4 for that very reason. Joe, we're going to move to you.
That was a great take. You made some great points there. My number 3 quarterback is Lamar Jackson. Another guy who, no disrespect, he's a great player. 2-time MVP winner. The Ravens aren't the Ravens without Lamar Jackson.
Well said.
No matter how you try to slice it, cut it, the Ravens are not the Ravens without Lamar Jackson. But with that being said, again, to me, winning and in the playoffs is important. And I don't know for whatever reason, I love Lamar. I want him to do great. For whatever reason, he gets into the playoffs, and it's a night and day difference between regular season Lamar and postseason Lamar.
Never seen anything like it.
It's really mind boggling. But he deserves to be at the number, like a 2-time MVP winner. By no means is he no slouch. Doesn't have the greatest wide receivers around him, but still finds a way to get it done. Now he's got Zay Flowers, who I think is a great wide receiver, and Derrick Henry, who's probably one of the best backs in the league.
Mm-hmm.
And that it's only going to help his case, but again, you have to you make it to the dance, and then you got 2 left feet. You got to be able to put it together. And, that's why he sits at number 3.
Well said. Sammy C?
That was very well said. I have Lamar Jackson at number 3 also.
Stop copying me, bro.
Dude.
Yeah, y'all clearly worked this shit out ahead of time.
No, we didn't. But great minds think alike.
Clearly.
I guess.
Hallelujah.
I don't know what that says about me, though. And this is the end of the Reggie and Jerome podcast. All right, go ahead. I'll just play.
No, 2-time MVP, like Joey said. I can go on and on of the same shit that Joey said.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
I don't even know how to put this, but Lamar Jackson he could throw the ball, right? But he could run the shit out of the ball.
Yeah, that he can.
He's like a running back to me, really.
Yeah.
Like, if you put him in a running back position, I mean, obviously he doesn't have the size and everything like that, but he is just quick as shit. And for all the stats and everything that he puts up during the regular season, it's like, where's that at in the playoffs? Where's it at when you got to go up against one of the top teams, Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes, right? But the thing is like, where is Lamar Jackson compared to the other players in the league? Right? He's definitely number 3 for me. But that's just because the other 2 have proven themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying that the other guy above him that I have has made it to a Super Bowl. But he puts teams on his back and rides. Pause.
Whoa.
Hey, listen, I ain't getting caught like you, Derek. Sorry.
Woo. Go ahead, man.
But the thing is like, I don't know. We could sit here and just go on and on and on. But Joey pretty much just cleared everything about Lamar Jackson.
We're going to change the rotation because Joey be taking all the thunder. So but yes. That's your number 3 guy?
Yeah, that's my number 3. I'm done with him.
Okay. I'm not even going to belabor my number 3 guy. Clearly, my number 3 guy is Jalen Hurts. We've talked about him for over an hour. To me, like Joey said, he's beaten everybody on this list outside of Justin Herbert. Some of them convincingly. He's been to 2 Super Bowls in a limited amount of time. He's won every place he's ever been. To me, not only is he a good quarterback, not only is he a great quarterback, he's an amazing winner. And I am so happy that he is on my team, the Philadelphia Football Eagles. We're moving up this list. We're at number 2. Sammy, we're going to start it with you this time.
Oh, cool.
Because, this guy over here.
Yeah.
My bad, man. My bad.
Nah.
You've been killing this shit, man.
No, I mean, because normally I start this way. So I said, you know what? Let's go Joey's way this time. But, that's why you're here. If you were over there talking about Edmundo Sosa's, on base percentage, That's one thing.
Cody Rhodes.
Yeah, but this ain't that. So I want you to bring that heat. That's why we're here, and that's why we do what the fuck we do. Sammy, who's your number 2 guy?
Josh Allen.
Woo!
This man has proven that he's an elite quarterback in the league, hands down. And yes, Jalen Hurts plays for the Eagles, and I'm a diehard Eagles fan. But if I don't even want to say it, but if I was an AFC fan, the Buffalo Bills would be my team.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Nah, I just love Josh Allen, man. He just proves every single year he doesn't have to have the best wide receivers on his team. He doesn't have to have, the best offensive line. He makes plays happen. And the thing is like, you sit here, you watch him. He's made it to the playoffs multiple times since he's been in the league with really no top wide receivers to throw to. His top wide receiver last year was Shareek. Shareek.
Wow.
Yes, they brought Amari Cooper in, but he really didn't do much.
Yeah.
They brought him in mid-season. But Josh Allen, he just makes plays that you're like, how the hell did he do that? From going to throwing with his left hand to running it in like a running back. And his arm is one of the best in the league, to be honest with you. Other than, Jalen Hurts and Patrick Mahomes. I mean, his arm strength is insane.
Absolutely.
And like I said, he's proven that if he gets a few more weapons and he goes after what he wants, I see him winning a Super Bowl at some point or making a Super Bowl because he's been to that final point to where he's one game shy of the Super Bowl 2 years in a row. And it's going to sound crazy, but I think he makes it this year.
I don't think you're alone in that take. I think there are a lot of people, even outside of Buffalo, that think that's where he's headed. But that's an amazing take, and good shit by you, my guy.
Thank you.
J.A.?
Josh Allen. Oh, sorry.
Actually, no.
Oh.
My number 2 guy is Patrick Mahomes.
Okay.
Derek, a big D, you've
use my government name. What the fuck? It's not good.
You kind of hit the nail on the head, while he's had great success and he's been, the best quarterback in the league probably the last 7-8 years, it's time to take a step back and open the blinds a little bit and realize that, while they do have a great track record, he's not always the best player on the field. The Super Bowl kind of opened my eyes to that a little bit. If you're supposed to be the new age GOAT, you shouldn't be wavering. You shouldn't be down and out. You should be rallying your troops.
That's a good term, the new age GOAT.
You should be rallying your troops and, hey guys, as long as I got the football in my hands, we're still in it. And, once he threw that interception to Zach Bond, you could tell that that was it. I got nothing left.
Quick question to both of you. When you watched him in the Super Bowl, did you think he instilled confidence in his team?
No.
Not at all. It seemed very temper tantrum-ish. That's not what you look for in a leader of leaders. It's, while Brady, who got mad, it wasn't a mad of, woe is me. It's a mad of, we need to get it the fuck together and we need to get the fuck together now.
Yeah.
That's two different, feelings there, but, I kind of agree with you on a lot of things you said about Patrick Mahomes and, while I it's not slander because he's still one of the best quarterbacks in the league
ever.
I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
His team around him, a couple of guys are getting older. Travis Kelce is near the end. Now it's time to prove what you can do with less. When he came into the league, he had somewhat. Travis Kelce was in his prime. Tyreek Hill was among one of the best wide receivers in the league. Now it's time to prove if he can do it with less.
Absolutely. Obviously, I already spoke on it, and I agree with everything you said. Pat is one of one. Now it's time to see if he has a second act in his career. My number 2 guy is Lamar Jackson. You guys already talked about Lamar, but one thing I will say about Lamar is that he's a testament to believing in himself. He was interviewed by every team before the draft. All but 2 asked him to switch positions. Those 2 were the Ravens and the Eagles. Only teams that never mentioned about him playing wide receiver. And he stayed steadfast to who he was and what he was. And he proved by winning 2 MVPs that he was a quarterback, a good quarterback, a Pro Bowl quarterback, and an MVP. The only issue with Lamar is what you guys said previously. Something about that playoff success, man. It's not like he hasn't had weapons. It's not like he hasn't had a good defense. For as good as he's been in the regular season, he just can't seem to pull his team over the finish line. Unlike my number 1 guy, who I'm going to switch up the rotation. I'm going to go first this time. My number 1 guy is clearly Josh Allen. I think Josh Allen has literally been snake bitten by being in a division with a hot Patrick Mahomes and not having an amazing team around him. He's done everything he could. He's gotten off the field with leads several times and still lost games. At some point, that ain't got shit to do with you. It's got to do with your team. We blame teams. We blame quarterbacks a lot for not being able to pull through, but I'm not really sure what more he could have done in some of those situations. He has all the intangibles. He's one of those ones that I'd like to go into a foxhole with. I'm not going to belabor the point, but for me, Josh Allen is my number 1 quarterback right now in the league. Sammy?
My number 1 is Patrick Mahomes.
GOAT light. I'm going to say GOAT light.
Yeah, GOAT light. Because, he's going on his 8th season. There's been 1 year he hasn't really done much, and that was his first season in 2017. And then he comes out after only throwing 284 yards because he didn't start for the Chiefs in 2017, and he turns around 2018 and throws for 5,000 yards, right?
Is that 2018 you said?
Yeah, 2018. But
damn, dude, 5,000 yards. Damn, I didn't realize it.
He's had 6 seasons to where he's thrown for over 4,000 yards, close to 5,000 yards. And, you can go on and on about him. 6-time Pro Bowler, 2-time All-Pro, 3-time Super Bowl champ. It goes on and on, right? But he's proven that he is still a top QB, and I think he still is number 1 for me. If I had to put him into a game-winning drive, I think he can make it happen. Not saying that any other QB can't do that, but he's just proven that he's the GOAT light. And
45 seconds left on the 40-yard line. That's the guy you want.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I respect that.
And it's just, yes, I understand, he flops and you call him Kermit the Frog and whatever else you want to call him, but he's still a top.
Shit works, though.
It does. It does. Here and there. It does. I mean, if he didn't have the refs on his side, yeah. But I still just think he's just that guy. And without the refs on his side, I still think he's just that top QB that, everybody wishes that they had on their team. And it just proves that you can look at this Super Bowl that the Eagles won, right? And he played like dog shit. But then you look at other QBs and other Super Bowls that Patrick Mahomes has been in, and he's played lights out to where you're not touching him. And it's just absolutely amazing to watch him play. Some of the throws that he makes, just if I had to put him in at a 4th and 5 or something, he's coming up with something to get you that first down, to get you into field goal range and win a game.
You bring up an interesting point that I didn't really think about. And that was what we saw a function of the luster off him? Or was it just, and obviously we're Eagles podcast and I don't want to sound crazy, or was that just a function of what he was facing? Were the Birds going to do that to anybody? I guess that's my point.
I want to say, and I'm happy that you brought that up because I really think that just because I'm an Eagles fan, diehard, we're all Eagles fans right here, but that Eagles defense was elite last year. And I just don't think he was going to beat them either way.
Was the crowning achievement of their season what they did in that game to him? Was it, I'm so glad you brought this up because I had been thinking about this for a while. Even when I made the list, I kept saying to myself, he just did so many things that a mediocre quarterback wouldn't do in that game. And I just wonder, maybe he had no choice. Maybe it was just that, and again, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to stop with the prefacing it with saying that I don't want to sound like a homer and all that shit. But the facts are the facts. Was it just that he was just up against an immovable force that he had no way of beating?
That's my point.
Okay.
That's my point.
Yeah, I think that what was it, 2022, 2023 season, that Super Bowl left such a bad taste in the majority of the roster's mouth that they all banded together and there was nothing that anybody could have done to get in their way.
I agree. But that's what my point is that if he didn't face that Eagles defense, because that Eagles defense was legit, the Eagles offense was legit last year. Not saying that they're not legit this year, but if he faces any other team from the NFC, I think he's going for a 3-peat.
Think he wins? Okay.
I do.
He definitely puts up a better game than he did.
A way better game than what he did.
Okay.
I just think he had absolutely no answer for the Eagles defense last year. Because Vic Fangio just watched the tape on him, knew what he was doing, and he just had no response to it.
Yeah. Great point. Great job, Sammy. I love that. Fucking killed it. J.A.?
My number one quarterback is Josh Allen.
Of course it is.
He's proven, like you guys said, he's gone out there with some guys that who? He had Stephon Diggs that one year and they fell short in the AFC Championship game, that overtime rule.
You better put some respect on Mac Hollins' name. That's what I'm going to tell you.
Listen, the backpack kid,
Mac Hollins.
Mac Hollins is a interesting dude, to say the least. But, Josh Allen has proven, and he won MVP last year, but while I believe it should have gone to Saquon, I think Josh Allen should have also won the MVP Lamar's second year. But, you know, just a guy who goes out there and balls out, and a guy that, you know, I've noticed who's learned from his mistakes. You know, I had mentioned earlier that Jared Goff can win you a game, but can also lose you a game. And Josh Allen had that kind of same flow for a couple of years where, you know, he tried to force a play and would throw an untimely interception when they needed to keep the ball. And, you know, since then he's learned from that.
He was the king of the slap my head fumble. Like, I can't believe he just did that. That was Josh Allen 3 or 4 years ago.
And, you know, he's learned from that. He's gotten better every year. I mean, he's protected the ball pretty nicely. You know, just, you know, come up short a couple of times, even this past year, against the Chiefs. You know, they tried the tush push, the brotherly shove, and they were stopped twice.
Should be a disclaimer on that, like they have on wrestling. This is for professionals only. You really shouldn't do that. We talk about wrestling way too much on here, but go on.
But, you know, I love Josh Allen and the player that he is. Another guy who, you know, rallies the troops around him. Hey, guys, we got to get going. Or, hey, let's keep the pressure on. You know, let's either put this game out of reach or make sure we get the first downs that we need to put this game away. He's a great quarterback, can launch the football, can take off when he needs to. There's not much that Josh Allen really can't do. And like you said, he's just untimely situations. You know, he's run into goat light, you know, and going down to play in Arrowhead is not easy for any team to do. And, you know, he's knocked on that door. Like you said, he's come off the field with a lead, and things just don't
several times.
Things just don't happen to go his way. But, you know, he's here to stick around, and he's going to be in this top 10 list and probably in the top 5 list for years to come.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. You really couldn't go wrong with anybody that was in the top 5. For the most part, they're all either extremely talented or they're winners. And some of them are both. So you really couldn't go wrong with any of them.
Yeah, I agree.
Well said, my guys. This was amazing. I didn't think we were going to be able to cover everything that we covered, but we did. And we had a lot of fucking fun doing it, as we always do.
Yeah.
So for that, I want to thank everybody for listening. If you want to hear the unedited version of this podcast, send $10 to my PayPal. I will drop it in. No, I'm not fucking with you. I'm not messing with that. But no, this was a ton of fun. And we also would like you guys to check out our other podcast,
the DJS Mountain Visit podcast. Some more content hopefully could be coming to you guys very, very, very soon. We love doing this stuff, man. And me personally, I love talking baseball, and I couldn't be doing it with a better group of guys next to me. We appreciate all you guys for tuning in and listening to not only this podcast, but the other podcast. And, go Phils.
Go Phils. And always, as we leave you guys, thank you, and go Birds.
Go Birds.
Fly, Eagles, fly, baby.
We out.